You're listening to the Old Tube Radio Network.
How do you do? Ladies and gentlemen,
Greetings to you.
wherever you are, for music and the latest news from home and from afar, the station for you is
OTR, Old Tube Radio.
the station for you is
OTR.
And we hope the station for you is OTR. That's the Old Tube Radio Network. We are transmitting on 27085. That's Channel 11 in the Central Valley of California. We've been doing this net that listens for and talks to and talks about and talks with the classic tube radios from 11 meter CB from 1958 to 1978 when they were manufactured. It's 2018. They are still around. There are some great collectors that have some great collections of 101 radios, and they stop by and share those radios with us. Also answer questions when we can and have a good time. Like, remember how we used to do that on the CB radio? We still do here at the Old Tube Radio Network. Thanks for joining us. If you're watching us at Google YouTube, but listening on the air at 27085 from wherever the DX might be, or listening to the live audio stream at oldtuberadio.net. The Jingle Singers just got us started about the Saturday night place to be, and we hope to check in some radios. OTR listening.
45.
And looks like we might have our first radio. Step up into the air chair, Paul. And I'm just checking in on the other page here to make sure everything is going well. And it is. So we'll turn it over to you. I have my tube radio list just signed in for August 11, 2018, and we hope to fill that up tonight. SWL 45, up in North Fork. Over to you.
You're probably guessing this radio. I haven't had this radio on the air for probably a year or so. I just had a little problem with it, but it's working well now. It's my Browning Golden Eagle Mark III SSB.
The Golden Eagle Mark III SSB. Yeah, I guessed it was an Eagle. I didn't guess correctly the model. And for our viewers out there who know what a Browning Mark III looks like, I know most of you do. There might be some of you that don't. Maybe you're just tuning in for the first time. Pop up a really cool picture of the Mark III SSB here on video as we go back to Paul, who, I guess my question for you, Paul, is how long, do you know how long you've had that Mark III, and or do you remember when you got it? I don't believe you went down to the store and bought it back in the day, but maybe you did. Back to you.
Yeah, I'll say roughly 25 years. I got it from a real nice guy out of Louisiana. He sent it, and it was pretty good price at that time. I got the gold mic on the thing, and I also got this Browning 770 on it with it. And he gave me a big old emblem, all kinds of good stuff on it. But it's been a good one. It's been messed up for a while. One thing is I found on the thing, it was a new Vista tube. Boy, I'll tell you what, it sure makes a difference. You're clear as a bell. Anyway, back to you.
Back to me in the studio. Wait, no, it's really nice audio. Just, the Brownings can be intense. You've got it fired up just right. The ping is nice, and it's got a nice sweet tone to it. It's not raspy. And your voice is good. It's hard to make an Eagle sound bad, right? Of any sort. So you've got it dialed in, no problem. It sounds like it's been around the shack for a while. Doing a good job. Let's see, those actually, I think you could move your, because they have the sideband on the transmitter, you can actually move your transmit frequency a little bit. I think they allowed it, like 700 cycles, which I thought was a cool thing. Even on the AM side, you could get yourself tweaked and dialed in, but you sound good. I haven't done a frequency check. I think everything is good. And the reason I sound good to you tonight is because you're listening on one of the best receivers that was ever made out there. the Browning, the Mark III SSB, and the microphone is a perfect match for that. Over.
Yeah, it has a weird thing. The thing sometimes it decides to chirp, sometimes it doesn't. But that doesn't hurt a thing. But anyway, now, like this microphone, this is that 776 power mic, and it doesn't have batteries in it. It gets all this power from the radio. So it's definitely set up to work on this particular radio. Well, not what any of the Brownings. Seems like you always get a Browning or two of these checked in every week, but I'll tell you what, it's a thrill to run this thing. They're an amazing big radio. Back to you.
It's a great radio, and you pin on something there in our SWLs that may not have. Maybe you're a true SWL, you don't have a transmitter, but Paul hits on something. There is something about, I'll call it driving the radio. Just look at that. Look at the knobs, and just when it fires up, the smell of dust burning off the tubes. It's fun to drive. It's like a classic car, like stepping in your 1959 Lincoln Continental, where the dashboard goes on forever. Or maybe you're into foreign sports cars or whatever. It is that same thrill, and we're glad to be a part of it. We're glad you drove by the house. Wasn't it always cool when you were a kid and the hot rod would drive down the street, or the car would go by, the Model T Ford or whatever? That's what's happening right now. Driving through your neighborhood, the Browning Golden Eagle Mark III SSB. You know, I'm talking here and I haven't even put it down on the list yet for our radio number one. You're looking good. They're saying hello on the video side. In fact, there's a couple things I got to do on the video side as well. So, Paul, back to you. And it was a long time before I actually operated a Browning radio and found that making the thing ping is easy, but making the thing ping the way you want is not easy. There's a combination of volume controls and squelch controls and where the microphone is and where the speaker is, and it's pretty complicated. So if it's got a mind of its own, I understand. All right. Yeah, I was signing with you, Bob. We'll pick up the breaker. Breaker, do not go away. We'll get to you next. But I want to make sure you're still hearing me, Paul, on the Browning Mark III.
Did you get the breaker? They try to shut you in?
Yeah, I'm gonna pick him up after I sign with you. Over.
Okay, sounds good. Well, I'll finish this thing up. Anyway, this is a big radio. That's what makes it even thrill. It's got so many knobs and everything on it. Nothing that's hard to operate at all. I mean, you just have to look at the knobs and turn them to where you get the best results. It's got 13 knobs, 2 large meters, and these are straight meters. These are not the LEDs and all that stuff. They're great old meters. It's not a hybrid at all. It's got a nice BFO for receive. 24 channels for crystals for the channels, and like I said, the microphone is at 776. That's about a 2-piece unit, 31 inches long, sitting here in front of me. Interesting. I love it. Thanks, Dennis.
Yeah, we love it too. 2 ways to stack it. Our video, which is showing the units on top of each other, probably put that way to fit the aspect ratio when Phil was taking the picture, but probably the optimal way is to have them side by side. It'd be a little bit better for the convection cooling and the heat, although the tubes like the heat. But you can't put them too far apart unless you redo the connecting cord. Our first radio of the evening, finally getting started here in the Old Tube Radio Network, and started in a big way with the Browning Golden Eagle Mark III SSB. Thank you, Paul. Give us that ping one more time before you go.
Well, I don't think he decided to ping that time. You never know about it. It's got a mind of its own. I could probably fix that, but I don't think it's necessary. I kind of like it the way it is. Anyway, thanks again for checking it in, Dennis.
All right. Thanks for bringing it by. We have a breaker standing by. Thanks for being patient. I also want to say hello to... Let me set the video back up here, do some paperwork in the shack as we get back to the control room here. Say hello officially to SWL2, OBP. who is on the video side, answering questions and waving a hand. Thank you, number 2. Let's see, who else is out there? Oh, SWL7. Mr. Ed. Let's get to SWL7 checked in as well. 2 of our net controllers on the video side tonight. I guess it's good to have various avenues, whether it's digital, live and direct, Memorex, or whatever, for people to check in. Also, hello to DD21. I guess you're talking about for sale on Facebook, the Brownings. I'm not sure, or maybe the no. You guys are talking about the Demco. I see. TB44, a classic car for sure, in the bluegrass state. I should bring out the octave mandolin, do a little bluegrass music, and Jeff is out there also checking in on the video side. Thanks, everybody. We'll just wanted to acknowledge you were out there. Wave a hand. We are keeping an eye on the video side. Let's go to the very patient. I thank you for standing by the breaking station. I hope you are still there. And we will find out what is going on. The breaking station for OTR. Thanks for standing by, and go ahead. All right, 350. Thanks, sir. They check in, and I had lamented to Jim earlier when I checked in that we hadn't had the Course Gold contingent 100% tonight, and I think we do now. So if you're listening at 195, you guys are well represented and sounding good. I have a 100% copy, over.
Good break, OTR.
All right. Don't step too far, because we'll look for you again next week on the Old Tube Radio Network. And I agree with you, John, about the audio on Paul's Browning. It's just sometimes, like I said, I mentioned, sometimes Browning can just be in your face, and it's hard to have a 5-minute conversation with the ping and the audio, but his is just nice and smooth, and we could go all night. Maybe we will go all night. I don't know. I think we've got Radio 2 checking in. Hello, Chris. I thought that was a breaking station. Who was a breaking station for OTR?
Break station.
Yeah, we'll take that station, Louis.
Yep. I'm late. I want to check in, and I also want to check in my Messenger 223.
This is a great 2-for-1 deal. SWL 93 with the check-in, and I will swap pages here and go to the Old Tube Radio list, and you will have the distinct honor of being radio number 2 tonight. And I think you said you have an E.F. Johnson, so as my pen falls on the floor, we'll find a picture of the messenger. What messenger do you have, over?
I got the 223. I don't have the modulation light.
All right. We're going to look for a 223 sans mod light. I think I got a picture of that. We'll pop it up on the item here, and we'll take it back to you for a transmission. You are sounding good, over.
Good deal. Yeah, that's the one that I got. Yeah, that's the one. Hey, I got a question for you. I have a Heathkit transceiver, model number CW-12. It's a 12-volt single crystal radio. Can you give me kind of a year that this was made and used?
All right, if I don't drop, let me get the microphone there. Don't drop my pen again. Let's switch gears. In fact, it's interesting you should mention that, because I believe that came up earlier in a post, and I was trying to find that. Yeah, it's John Lee, SWL 128, who said his first CB was a Heathkit GW11. So the GW12 was probably the model after that. Let's switch gears. I think we might have a picture of a Heathkit GW12 just so we can answer the question. And it will help me maybe find some information about it. So I'm going to go out on a limb here and just see if we have can't come up with a picture. Oh, and it says no image available. Well, but I can tell you about the GW12, no image. Well, there's an image. There's a picture right there. It is from 1962. GW12. Sorry, people in the video, we're having some technical difficulties. Let me get that back. And to answer your question on a very long transmission here, are you still copying, Louis? Over.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm still looking. I'm looking at the monitor, waiting for it to come up. Break.
All right. I'm thinking I can get a picture for you, but it's from 1962. There were 3 models: a GW12, a GW12A, and a GW12D. My guess is it's probably a 12-volt version and a 6-volt version, since it was 1962. It was a single-channel transmit and receive, just like you said. It is definitely an old tube radio. The A was 115-volt AC. The D is the 12-volt DC. I don't know what the... Okay, it's A and D. So it was only 12-volt, 115-volt. If you have one and it plugs in, you have the A model. Believe it or not, that radio said the original price, it was a kit. It showed up in a box with bags of parts that you had to put together, was $40. It shows up in CB5 Sam's PhotoFax, and there is a schematic for that on oldtuberadio.com. So back to you. All right, so do you say you have one of those? Over.
Yes, I got the model GW12. Mine's 12 volts.
Oh, then you have the D model, and there it is. Okay, I've got have to go through the roundabout way to get the picture, but I've got a picture, and hopefully if you're looking at the screen, you will see something that looks very similar to what you've got. A plain radio. That looks like the original microphone. Looks like the microphone is hardwired. There's one channel, so no channel selector. But a way to turn it on and a way to squelch it. Over.
Yes. But my mic is different than that one. Mine's square, and I got a little switch on the side. It's brown, stock, not powered. But that's not the mic that I have.
All right, probably works. It may not be the original mic, so that would be something to check if the mic's been changed, that's wired correctly and compatible with the set. But there you go, the GW12 from 1962, entry level into Class D radio from Heathkit. So hopefully it was built well, and you have the 12-volt version, the D version, I guess. Runs off at 12 volts. That was the mobile, because back in the day, you were supposed to have a mobile-to-base communications through your license call sign, and there you go. So hopefully, if it's working, or if it does work, or you can get it to work, put it on the power supply. It'd be interesting to check it out. Over.
Well, I tried to hook it up earlier, and my power supply that I have just isn't quite powerful enough to keep it going. So maybe next week I'll work on a different, maybe get a battery and try it that way.
That would work. You're going to need a minimum of like a 4 or 5 amp regulated 12-volt DC power supply, probably to bring it up on receive. And if you're going to be transmitting, you're probably going to need a even bigger power supply than that, more like a 10 amp supply or 7 amp supply minimum to get it going. And your suggestion about using a regular 12-volt system would work quite well. Just remember, if the cord is not fused, that you make sure you're absolutely sure you've got the polarity right. If your cord has got the fuse in it, that'll help from any boo-boos. But if it's an old thing that doesn't have a fuse in it, you really have to be careful that you get your polarity right when you hook it up. Radio number 2, although you wouldn't know it, is the E.F. Johnson Messenger 223. You got sidetracked on the Heathkit here, but that's a good thing. And John Lee, I thought we were going to get close, but he can't. Louis can't quite check it in yet. But at least we got a mention on the GW12. Thanks, Louis.
Very good, yeah.
And the break OTR, go ahead, please.
Just 131 checking in late.
Okay, we got all sorts of things. Stand by, Chris. We'll get you on the... I'm sure you're on the radio. And 131 checking in. Thank you, Mr. Rude. Let me find your number here. Click the item, and you are officially checked in. 131, and let's go back to 37. Over. Was that Chris? No, Chris. I guess it was 131. All right. I'm hearing things tonight. Too much time up on the roof all week. This project has been going on for a month now. I think my brain is finally starting to go. I know. Whenever I'm messing up, here's what we do. We go to the jingle singers, and they try and save me.
How do you do? Ladies and gentlemen, greetings to you. Wherever you are, your favorite slot on the dial by far is known to you as
OTR, the Old Tube Radio Network.
the station for you is
OTR.
The station for you, OTR, the Old Tube Radio Network, 27085 is where we are transmitting at tonight. Channel 11 in Central California. Everywhere else at oldtuberadio.net for the live stream audio, live stream video at Google YouTube. Looks like there are quite a few of you out there. I'll have to say hello. Also wanted to mention anybody wanting some more information about Heathkit. Stan has, SWL71 has given us a great site. Check out the link over at oldtuberadio.net on Nostalgia Central something. Anyway, but you can click on the link that he has put up, and then we'll take you right to it. Let me go over to the video side and see what I need. EDA 396, thank you for checking in tonight, listening in from Tennessee, as are Robert and Teresa, SWL 31. They are in Hendersonville, out that way. And we are looking for, what are we doing? Looking for Radio 3 on the Old Tube Radio Network.
45.
And I think we may have it. SWL 45. Hello, Paul.
Okay, back again. But I'll tell you what, this radio is really small. This is my generated telephone BB-10.
Okay, I got that it was a CB10, but I didn't catch the who was the manufacturer over?
Yes, BB Business Band-10.
Oh, if that's a BB10, then it may be. You did say I thought you might have said General Radio Telephone. I'm thinking, well, no, I didn't recognize the number. But now that it's a BB, let's see if we have a picture of that. Yes, we do. Okay, that's one of those loaf of bread style radios, similar to the Messenger series from E.F. Johnson. Actually, it's a nice picture. I'm going to put that up here, get rid of me on the video, and put up the picture of the video of the radio that Paul is talking on. Yeah, he said it was a small radio. You know, it definitely sounds like an old tube radio. There it is, BB10. Let's talk about the BB10. Back to you.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's the British style radio. You can operate on 26 to 28 megahertz, no problem. It has 7 tubes in that thing. The one channel radio with one crystal, one receive crystal. Has transmit and receive. The thing that is an interesting thing is it has crystal carbon in it. What you do, you keep the crystals in there and it helps hold the temperature. I imagine probably, because it's a mobile unit, it would probably be, all over the country, you'd need something to maintain the crystals or you'd be jumping all over the frequency. Interesting idea, very good idea. Anyway, generator telephone, I have a good idea of this little bitty radio. It's simple, got one ladder in the front, modulation type light, and the names are right in your serial number, not your serial number, but your call letters, and that's about it on the thing.
Yeah, and another very simple radio, like we were showing the Heathkit GW12, A lot of the radios, not all of them, but a lot of the radios in the early 60s, late 50s were simple because this wasn't amateur radio. This wasn't a peek and tweak hobby. This wasn't a hobby at all. It's for communication. So you need a microphone, you need a way to turn the thing on, and you need at least one channel, which you have, and maybe a light that tells you that the radio is on, which that appears to have. And you weren't into changing microphones, and most of the time the microphone was hardwired in, as this one is. Believe it or not, Paul, that was $190. That was certainly not the $40 Heath kit, but then again, you didn't have to build it on your kitchen table. There were two of those. Or no, I'm sorry, there was one of those, but it had two power sources. You could go 12-volt DC or 115-volt AC, and of course, it looks like the Vibration Service series from General Radio Telephone. Also, I'm assuming you're running the original microphone. I'm thinking, and if you listen to the archives, you may agree with me, that the element in that microphone is either going bad, gone bad, or it's showing its age. And I'm thinking it's a carbon microphone element, and it definitely sounds like you might be on a phone patch. The audio's okay. I'm hearing you 100%. But it has a sound that tells me that the cartridge in there, whatever it might be, carbon dynamic crystal, has seen better days. Over.
Sorry. Listen, don't believe this is even a turn on the thing. They used to have to be a turn of microphone on the thing. Somehow or other down the line, this thing got changed. And not really sure what it is. I'm almost sure it's carbon. I'm just thinking on the thing. You have to get right into it. I'm really touching it with my whiskers here on the thing to get it something kind of out. If that back off, it kind of goes away, as you can tell. Anyway, it's interesting. These radios are flexible, you never know. But anyway, I'd say it's a heavy little radio, and I'd say it's pretty good wattage for such a little bit of radio. It's just a great little business band, and that's what it's made for.
Yeah, the business band, that's why it goes up to 28. I think there were some business band frequencies up above channel 23 at the time. I switched over to, if anybody's at oldtuberadio.net, to the advertisement for the BB10. It says the ultimate and low-cost business band communications. Here at last is a two-way radio with the power and durability to meet industrial communication requirements. General's remarkable BB10 is the most advanced set in the field and contains many features not found in similarly priced equipment. The BB10 was rigorously tested, try to say that fast, throughout all stages of its development. This has resulted in the construction of a superb transceiver, which is second to none in rugged durability and that's correct. It's still going in 2018, and the lowest cost in the industry at $190. Wow. See this outstanding unit at your General dealers today, or write General Radio Telephone for a free instruction manual on the BB10, $189.95. It says electronic switching, no relays, so you don't hear any clunking relays probably when you key down. It says short-proof transistorized power supply. Probably it means they took out any rectifier tubes. It says 180-foot antenna height permissible because it's business band. See, the CB had a 20-foot height limitation or a 60-foot height. I think it was 60 feet at that time. On the ad, it says 180-foot antenna height permissible if you're running on the business band. The BB10 and the BB11 is, there was a BB11, so maybe for 6-volt operation. New moisture-proof, shock-proof microphone cartridge. So there you go. Maybe you're not moisture-proof anymore, or shock-proof. Triple-plate heavy steel chassis. I bet that thing is like a ton of bricks, huh? But it's small size, 4.5 inches by 6.5 inches by 9, so it is small. General Radio Telephone Company, 3501 West Burbank Boulevard, Burbank, California. Telephone 849-6891 in the 213 area code. Back to you.
Well, I'll tell you what, you got about everything wrapped up there on the thing. You look at that picture on the thing, that's definitely a turn of mark on the thing. That's what it comes back with.
This might be a local voice microphone. Give me something to do. I'll have to figure out what it is next time when I check it in. Go from there. But thanks for the information. Know more about it than I do now, Dennis.
Yeah, we were lucky enough to have the ad done by the sales department for General Radio Telephone. So there you go. Maybe that was a way, if you wanted to get that 180-foot antenna up, you have that radio sitting on the desk. So when the FCC comes in, you can say, see, that's why I'm breaking the rules. Radio number 3, the General Radio Telephone BB10 for business band. And, Paul, I neglected, in all the fun here, to take a look at the S meter, and I want to see where your signal is. And I'm thinking maybe if it's a business band radio, you might be putting out even more than the 4-watt output. Over.
Yeah, it is a little bit more. Not a whole lot more, but it is a little bit more. It's understandable. I got it cranked down by as long as I can get it cranked down, and it still wants to go a little higher. So we won't go to how much wattage you put that, but it's maybe a pound or two over what they have with the big one.
Yeah, you're almost at S9, and you do have radios there from your location that check in just above the noise level, probably at 1 to 3 watts. So that is, even in its cranked down state, seems to be in a business band output, which is good. It's got some tube radio audio and a business band output. The BB10 from Paul up there in North Fork tonight. Thanks for bringing it by.
Thanks for checking it in, Dennis.
And you are listening to the Old Tube Radio Network.
How do you do? Ladies and gentlemen, greetings to you. Wherever you are, the friendliest station for you by far is known to all as
OTR, the Old Tube Radio Network.
the station for you is
OTR.
And we were looking for radio number 4 tonight. And hello to Brian, the mighty KUH, watching us on the video tonight with his new to him. Where do you put all that stuff, Brian? Cobra 2000 for, am I reading that? The other screen is way over there. It looks like $49. I don't think you could get a microphone for $49 to go for that radio. Yeah, I see you could just not pass that up. That's a nice radio for $149, I think. So, good deal. It's not a Drake, it's not a Collins, but for $49, it's in the shack, as he says. And hopefully in your shack tonight is a tube radio. If so, we'd like to hear it. Oh, and I failed to mention, maybe for a good reason, I'm wearing the official OTR pullover shirt tonight. These were issued to the net controllers, I want to say back in 1987 or 1988, when we did our first, we had a picnic. We had a couple of picnics, but either 87 or 88, it's too long ago, when we did our first picnic and we wanted to identify ourselves, who we were, for the people coming up. But this is the shirts that were made up by, I think, Les and D, or some net controllers at the time made these shirts, and I pulled mine out of the closet. It still fits. It's made by Mervyn's. It's a Mervyn's shirt. So you know it's old. And it's made in Korea. I thought maybe it's old enough to be made in USA, but this is a Korea shirt. I don't think they progressed beyond that. So anyway, there, I wanted to let you know. That's why my name is on there, just so that I'll remember, and that's how we did it.
North or south?
I'm up here in Spokane, Washington, trying to get in.
Okay, I didn't get the north or south comment, but hello, Spokane, Washington, on the E-Skip. This is the Old Tube Radio Network here in Central California with a live stream at oldtuberadio.net, looking for radio number 4.
Hey, Dennis, 709 up in Spokane, Washington, checking in one more time.
All right, 709 in Spokane, sounding good here on the Old Tube Radio Network tonight. We are, as usual, listening for those glow-in-the-dark tube radios. We've got 3 so far tonight, and you're putting a good signal down here in the net tonight.
Hey, Dennis, I'm not using a tube radio. I'm using a Cobra 1000 GTL with a Super Q-Gun audio 8-element flat-side beam. Looking at you right now, and I'm back out of the way, 709.
All right, 709 on the 8-element Joe gun. I think that has something to do with breaking a hole in the E layer tonight, or bouncing around from Spokane. Sounding good, and thanks for checking in the Old Tube Radio Network. Radio number 4 is somewhere out there.
Now, was that North Korea or South Korea?
Well, it just said made in Korea. They weren't specific, so I'm assuming it was probably South Korea.
All right. And good evening, I'm Spokane, 241 Fresno. 37 Fresno. Sorry about that. SWL 37. Can we check in something?
Yeah, let's do a check-in. You'd like to be Radio 4, and over to you.
All right, Spokane, now listen, this very carefully. This is a general radio telephone, a Super MC11A, 24-channel tuber that glows in the dark, and this is going to blow your mind away if you hear me. This is with a handheld, non-amplified stock microphone. Over.
Well, there you go. And you heard how Paul sounded on the BB-10, which was the business band version, sort of that early version of that radio. Didn't have quite the audio because General, as they went along, added the ECLL 800 and some other things, and that's just the stock microphone too. That's what amazes me. That's the stock microphone. That thing's in perfect shape. Over.
I just wondered, did Spokane hear it, though? Must not, he ain't saying nothing.
Well, he was on a big fade-out at the time. We may have that E-skip that pops in and for a couple minutes and goes away, and then it lands in another part of the state and comes and goes. And he was running an 8-element beam on the flat side, so that was helping quite a bit. So maybe the conditions will come back. In the meantime, you're sounding real good right here in Fresno.
Well, that's a real good deal. I don't know what it is, but tonight I'm hearing pretty decent tonight for a change. There he is. There's Spokane.
He might be talking to Sacramento now. I think we had Sacramento listening tonight, I saw on the list. You are radio number 4 at, we'll put you in at 9:30, Chris. Over.
Well, that'll work by me. What do I got? 9:33, but that's 9:30's all right.
All right, that's a good thing. Sounding good. Boy, that radio just and DD21, the Kim Jong-il shirt. Well, I just wanted to make a comment to Dirty Diaper there. I always check on an old shirt because if it's old enough, you can tell the age because it'll say Made in USA. This is before they started farming things out, but this is the mid-'80s. So they probably started in Japan, Korea, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh. You know, it went down the line. So this is a class Korean shirt we've got on tonight here for the Old Tube Radio Network. Speaking of which, you sound great, Chris, as always.
Thank you, Dennis. My static's not too bad right now, I think, because I can actually hear.
Yeah, well, maybe who's ever out there causing all that didn't turn the lights on tonight or something.
Yeah, well, like I said, I got all mine on like normal, but, you know, it's just not overbearing. You know, I've got static. Let me see what it says here. It says, I think it's, about a 7? But still, it's not a noisy one. It's there, but it's not noisy like it has been.
Well, that's good. For me, the frequency is very quiet. Didn't hear skip all day, and I think some other people are saying that it's been very quiet across the state. We've got SWL 44, knowing the conditions. He's putting on the SDR. He's turning on the SDR, so everybody give it your biggest and brightest when you check in, and maybe you'll make the replay here from from Ray's SDR. We made it barely one time, and then Tim Tron up there in the Pacific Northwest also had us barely sneaking in, so we're making it to the northwest side. Anyway, Chris, thank you for checking in the general. It sounds nice, perfect as always.
And I thank you. All right, Dennis. I just turned another one on. I'm gonna see if I can get through that and there, see how the static hits on that one. So we'll see what happens.
Okay, and I see new on our list, Newberry, South Carolina, Pottstown, Pennsylvania, Spokane, Washington. That might be 709 listening in on the audio gate, and the unknown SWL. OTR looking for Radio 5.
45.
And 45 with Radio 5, I do believe. Hello, Paul.
Yeah, this one is a gospel type radio. It was working pretty good, but it's had its issues, so hopefully it'll make it. It is my car TR326.
Wow, thanks for bringing in a car. We used to get a lot of the Car D phones. Don't hear many of the cars at all. The TR333 was a popular one. Paul is on the TR, the Tango Romeo 326. And believe it or not, we have a picture, and it is from your collection. So we'll pop that up. I can copy you okay. Signal's not as decent as the BB10, but it's happening here on the Old Tube Radio Network. Take a transmission.
There's another one you got to hold real close to your mouth as a microphone on the thing. Anyway, it's made in Car Engineering Corporation, Middlesville Road, Palo Alto, California.
Hey, 135, can you hear 709 over here?
Yeah, it's a small radio. It's only about 8 inches long, 9 inches wide, 5 inches high. But it's got everything on it. It's got a meter on the front. And I really suspect that this radio you won't find any SAMs or anything. But the TR327 is in SAM 5. And it shows about the same picture as this one. But they made a larger speaker grill on the 327. That's one of the differences. Internally, I can't tell you because I don't have the diagram on this radio at all. No diagram. I would assume it's about like the 327, but I don't know. That's it. It's just a neat little radio. It's only 59 or 60, my guess. Back to you.
Yeah, I'm showing 1961 to 1962, 4 channels. It had the 6-volt DC, 12-volt DC, or 117-volt AC, which is common for the radios 1963 or before to have the 6 volts in there. What I find interesting, that it has 10 tubes. A lot of the earlier radios only could work, only needed 7 or 8 tubes. This one has 10. 6-volt and 12-volt tubes. It's got a 6U8, so maybe it's got some rectifier stuff. But and I notice it doesn't say, it says catalog number, but it doesn't show, like you mentioned, a reference to the SAM's photo fax. So it may just be hard to find. You're about an S unit below the BB10 in signal strength at S8, but well above the noise. And the audio has another classic tube radio sound. The BB10 had a very high mid-range component to it. This sort of has a lower mid-range component. So the intelligibility is not as good, but it's plenty loud. Got plenty of audio. And I'm looking, and that is also another hardwired microphone to go with that. But at least this is more deluxe. This has got extra channels and an S meter, so I could see where the price would be up there at $179, over.
Yeah, definitely. You can see the microphone up there on the top of it. That same one, of course, I'm talking on. And it's definitely not microphone radio with it. It's, my guess, if I be sure, I'm not sure. I know it's not definitely anything like any Turner or anything like that. I'm looking at it again. But I would say it's probably sure. What's your guess on it? Without looking it up, that would be my guess. What do you think?
I think you might be right. I'm looking at that. Almost looks like it's a classic, salt and pepper shaker look. If you shake that, does salt come out of it?
one back, I'm sorry.
You know, I'm just being funny. I said that the microphone reminds me of a classic 1950s salt and pepper shaker. Look, so I'm just wondering if you shake that microphone, if salt comes out of it.
Yeah, exactly. They may put this microphone on these radios all the way up until, I forget what the number was. There's 2 or 3 radios above this. Maybe about 65. They're still using the same microphone. You know, I've looked everywhere for microphones just like this, but I couldn't find it. There's got to be in there. I'll find it one of these days. Anyway, that's about it. I'll tell you, it's just a neat little radio. Small radio, but it's got all the bells and whistles. It's a big radio. Carter's ahead of us on these speeds right here. For a little radio like this, you can't use it. Boy, they're crammed in there, too. All right. Thanks for checking it in, Dennis.
Thanks for bringing it by. Kind of focusing on some of the rarer, earlier single channels, 4-channel radios that still had the 6 volts in them tonight, radios that were small. Well, one reason they're small, they don't need to be big. There's not a lot on them. And 2, they're also doubling as mobile radios for those, you know, picking up maybe a couple of them, one to put in the car and one to keep on the base station. And the fact that they're still going strong here in 2018 is a good indication that these were probably fairly well built and taken care of, or maybe, you know, spent its life in a box somewhere. But we're glad that it's out of the box and on the air here at the Old Tube Radio Network, Radio 5, the car TR326. Sounding good, Paul. Thanks.
I forgot to tell you one thing. This has got a power switch on the front. You can tune your power from the front of it, which is unusual.
Oh, yeah, I see it. I don't know if it's a squelch. It must be the bottom knob. And I wonder if it's like the Imperial that had the final knob. But that's okay if you're, you know, we're talking very close. Somebody close by, you know, your station pulls on the driveway, you can turn the power down. The other thing is it might have been such that you could turn it down to 100 milliwatts. I think the Lafayette, the Compstant 19 was like that. It had a switch that would put you in the 100 milliwatt mode, and those of us who started our life in 11 meters with walkie-talkies, the unlicensed 100 milliwatt walkie-talkies, know about that. So it might have been an ability to go unlicensed power at 100 milliwatts, even if you wanted to start it off that way.
Yeah, you bet. It's really neat. I haven't seen any others like that, but, you know, Regency had McCoy on the front, you could dial it in, but not this young of a radio. Anyway, thanks again, Dennis.
All right, thanks for bringing it by. I lose my foot switch. It goes under the desk, and then I need my hands for everything else here, so I have to have a foot switch to key the radio for the 27085 side. Speaking of which, the jingle singers in the other room are saying it is about that time to let people know what's going on.
You're listening in the latest style.
27.085 megahertz. Channel 11, Old Tube Radio.
In wonderful
Fresno, California.
And Neil, SW147, just checking the comments here finally. And thank you for answering my query on the frog strangling thunderstorms as he educates the West Coast guy here, Southern a slang, if you will, or a euphemism for heavy thunderstorms that can wash away frogs and other land creatures. I guess that would be called a gully washer. Neil is no stranger to the West Coast here, so thanks for, he knows, he knows I'm lost. I mean, he talks about frogs strangling thunderstorms. Thanks for filling me in. We are looking for we are looking for all the SWLs that didn't check in, but we were looking for radio number 6.
7.
Hey, Dennis, I hear Mother Nature coming back in, 709.
Hello?
All right, 709. We'll see if we can pick up our next tube radio here coming up. Chris is on something. Tell us what you got, 37.
Oh,
right, Dennis. This is the other one. This is the pretty blue one. This is the G-Power Mate Gem Marine Products. 23 channel 2 that glows in the dark. This one here, I'm running this here with the amplified D104 lollipop, and it seems to be working.
It's working great. The Gem Marine Products G-Power Mate from the collection of Chris. We'll put up the photo. I think that was formerly from the collection of SWL44, who was out there listening, waving a hand. Just a reminder for the stations that might be tuning in or hearing us on the DX conditions, this is the Old Tube Radio Network. We are in Central California. This is a net we do every Saturday where we talk with and talk about the older tube radio sets. So we encourage anyone that has a tube radio to try and check in with us tonight before we leave the air. We are also doing a live video broadcast at Google YouTube. And we are also audio streaming, if you have the ability to listen in on your Universal Media Net web device at oldtuberadio.net for the audio gates. Take a transmission, Chris. You're sounding good on Radio 6.
Well, like I said, tonight's a good night. Static ain't killing me.
Yeah, it's nice. I know who else had the big static is Ed, SWL7, had the other static. We think we know what his problem is. It was some grow lights in the neighborhood. So hopefully that's not what your situation is. I forgot about that. It could be something like that as well. But maybe it's harvest time and they don't need to turn them on.
Maybe that's why I'm hearing tonight. I never thought of it, but that's a very good possibility. It just seemed like it started all at once, and it's just not doing it tonight. So maybe the PG came in and they started screaming.
Or something. Well, we'll enjoy it while it's there. I'm using, I have an alternate pen tonight writing the tube radio list, and this is the super finest pen I ever have, and it is really hard to read because the lines are so small. Man, I don't know how to pick this pen. I need one of those number 2 pencils. Anyway, when I do the list, I'll just make sure I've got lots of light. There's the shot. The G-Power Mate on channel 11. The green RX light. This radio, this chassis, I should say, is the infamous Panasonic chassis that was used in a lot of the radios, like the Robin T123B and some others. But it works quite well and sounds nice. Give us another transmission.
Okay, here's another transmission. Dennis, I'm still waiting to hear from you on the phone or coming by. Like I said, I have something here for you.
Okay, and you have reminded me. I apologize. There's been this roof project has just been going on now for a month. The guys were here today. We got some air conditioning thing coming in at 7 in the morning tomorrow. So once that's done, maybe tomorrow, maybe Monday, I've still got a ton of work, but I think I might have a little bit more time to actually break away because people won't be showing up willy-nilly, as it were. So keep it under wraps. Hopefully it's not taking up too much space. I appreciate it, and I will be hopefully talking to you soon on the eyeball mode. Back to you.
Well, you got your pencil paper there, right?
Yes, I do. Over.
473-9060.
Okay, copy, and I'll draw a line around it, and I'll draw another line around it because I'm using the pen, that fine line ink pen. And I guess I should draw an arrow and put who it is and why. Don't you hate getting old?
Yeah, that's the cell phone. Larry, he's got the landline, and so does Harvey. So if you lose that, get a hold of either one of them. They can give you the number. But I definitely need you to come by sometime this coming week. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, something like that. Like I said, I've got something here especially just for you.
All right, sounds good. They're all getting jealous in the other room. Yeah, I never get nothing. They get all the presents over there. So this will be turnabout is fair play, as they say. Radio number 6, the Gem Marine Products G-Power Mate. Sounding good as always, Chris, and we appreciate when you can get into the radio room and check in some of those items for us.
All right, well, I'm going to try to get back to the mother. I'm out. Be back.
And if you're still listening, Chris, a message from afar that, a warning, should I call it a fair warning, that you may be hearing a knock on your door from someone that you know that is no longer in California, but maybe they're showing up to the great state just to make sure that they remembered it the way they used to or something. Anyway, what am I talking about? I'm not sure. We've got the Jingle Singers ready to do something. I wanted to make a comment in answer to John, saying he liked the monogram shirt. I think this is an iron-on thing. This is from 1987, when all the net controllers, when we did the OTR barbecue picnic out at Woodward Park, we got these shirts. So there's probably a limited edition. There may be 8 or 9 of these. I can't remember how many that were made up. And it still fits, and it's still nice because I don't wear it that much. I'm sure if I washed it a lot, this would be faded more than it is. And on the back, oh man, let me see. Now, can I do that? I don't think I can do that. I'd have to turn around, but it says OTR, and it says Old Tube Radio Network in the same style. It's got a pocket. That's what I like. It's got a nerdy pocket for that nerdy guy to put his stuff in. And I'm gonna take a look at your picture link there, John, too. So I will fit in. We're talking about CB nerds. I will fit in good. But I just pulled that out tonight because I wanted something bright and cheerful, and I think everything else was dirty. The Old Tube Radio Network. We are listening for radio number 7. But first, this important message.
What are the magic numbers?
27.085 megahertz, channel 11.
Are the magic letters?
OTR.
Right here in
Fresno, California.
Radio Magic
Old Tube Radio.
for you.
And 37.
All right, 37. Did you hear you probably were changing coax. Did you hear my portended message of earlier about the possible knock on your door that wouldn't be me?
Yes, I did, and I think I might know who it is. Did he say when?
No, he's being mysterious, but that's probably not unlike that gentleman, I would suppose. Stay tuned for further updates. Radio 7 has been logged with your name. Back to you.
Okay, well, I am going to check in another one of those radios. I am going to check in on the Courier Royale, a 23-channel tuber with all the knobs and blinking lights and stuff right there. With 7 knobs counting the dial in the front, and the hidden one in the back for the modulation one, and of course the tuning loadings, but those don't count. We're talking about other knobs, but this is the Courier Royale 23-channel tuber, and we are running this in here also, Dennis, with the amplified D104 Lollipop, also over.
Looking good, sounding good. One of our few radios tonight, there's been a couple, but most of the radios have been single channel, hardwired microphone, and 3 knobs at best. Here is the Deluxe, the Courier's top of the line. I think their last tube radio, the Royale, a very popular radio, a radio that if you talk to people who like tube radios, this one shows up a lot as one they would like to have. You know, assuming they've already got the Browning and they've already got the Tram, this one is a close third place, and you've got one. And it's sounding great. Maybe this will be the skip shooter tonight. Over.
Yeah. Well, Washington, near me. Hello, up there around Spokane, Fresno, Cal.
Yeah, he was in there earlier, but I think that the conditions are changing, and some of the big strappers down in L.A. and Sacramento are probably talking over us. But you sound good.
Yeah, I wish I still had my beam. I can get right in there along with him, huh?
Yeah, he's on an 8-element flat side Joe gun, so I know. You had the PGL2. That was a great. Those are great little. It was a great design on the PGL2. Worked quite well for the minimal boom length and wind load. So there you go. Tell me the microphone you're running again with the Courier, over.
That is a D104, and I did not have the PDL2. I had the White Lightning, a 4-element quad, wire-fed.
Oh, you had a 4-element. What am I thinking? Maybe it was JB that had the PDL2. I forgot. You had the bigger one.
Yeah, JB had the PDL2. I had the 4-element quad. That mine was bigger than his.
Oh yeah, that's why. That's why you were talking, Skip. Yeah, as everybody knows, you can have a great radio, but the antenna's the main thing. You get a good antenna. First, you got to be able to hear what's going on, and then got to be able to focus your signal, and you'll do well with the GW11 with no power if you got the good antenna. Courier Royale. Let me quickly tell the audience about the Courier Royale. 11 tubes. Service manuals at oldtuberadio.com. It's got a Collins 6 kilohertz mechanical filter. If you look down in the vents there, you'll see probably something that looks like a skinny metal tube. And that's probably the Collins filter. It'll be a cylindrical little metal tube, I think is the way they normally looked. And that'll be in there somewhere. 12-volt DC, 1117-volt AC with the right cables. And more information in Sam's CB14. Back to you for a transmission.
Well, if you remember when I was in Kansas, I had no trouble talking to you guys all the time, day and night sometimes. And my neighbors didn't believe I was talking where I was talking. They couldn't hear you guys. But I sure could. That was sweet.
Yeah, I believe that was in the middle of cycle, 24, 23, 22. We're coming up on 25. It might have been 22. It could have even been 21. That's how long ago it was. And that's right at the top of the solar cycle when 11 meters is open all night to Kansas. And that was a good cycle. I don't know if we're going to have anything like that in 25 or not. It will be interesting. And on your next transmission, if you're going to sign out, I'll just let you know that you mentioned about when might there be door knocks, and the answer is a simple 4-letter answer: soon.
Okay, well, I'm awake. But yeah, anyway, that was in 1985.
Soon, yeah, 85. All right. I knew it was back a long time ago. Maybe that was cycle 22. All right, it is getting late, but we still have some time to check in radios. I'm not going to jump right out at 10 o'clock, but I want to get ready here. Courier Royale doing a good job. Radio 7 you are, and thanks for bringing it by.
Break OTR.
And the break OTR, just for kicks. Hello, Phil.
Well, thank you, Dennis. I cleared a spot in the Imaginasium tonight to put this Lafayette Comstat 25B on the air.
Okay, fooled me. Good signal and really nice audio. I was thinking it might have been more uptown than the Lafayette. I'm not dissing the Lafayette here, but it sounds nice and clear. The 25 Bravo, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, the 25B was a different radio from the Comstat 25 and even the 25A, I think, and just in style. I will give us a real kind of midnight stealthy picture from Cliff. Looks like it has sort of a blacked out dial, but he's got it in really mood lighting. But very colorful. It's got the red transmit light, I guess that's what it is, and the green and the red and white S meter. I'm not sure what microphone you have to go with it, but it's sounding good. Give us a transmission. You are Radio 8.
Well, thank you, Dennis. I'm using an amplified D104 type microphone. The radio is pretty cool. It does have a fine tune that seems to work on this one. I can tune you out, or I can tune you in with the fine tune. Over.
Wow, that has quite a range on it then. Typically, they were like a 3 kc spread, so you got 1.5 up and 1.5 down. That one might have been modified. I'm going to say if you can make me sound like sideband, you're probably going a lot more than in 1.5 on a rotation there, which is good. That's you can do a lot of stuff with when the band is busy by having a little bit of play on the center slot frequency. I've done that quite a few times. It's kind of nice. The microphone is adjusted very nicely. The audio is just great. That's what I mentioned before, unsolicited, that it sounded good. But now I know why.
Well, thank you very much, Dennis. As the hour draws nigh, we'll give it back to OTR.
All right. I'm glad you were able to clear off some spot on the table there. Maybe another project finished or another project ready to go. Always enjoy when you can plug something into the coax and fire it up. Your Lafayette Comstat 25B noted as Radio 8, the Panasonic chassis out of Japan. Doing a good job on the old Tube Radio Network tonight. Thanks.
7.
All right, somebody's trying to check in.
SWL 37.
It's working now. 37, hello, radio.
Hello, Dennis.
See what happens? That's why we're here. You've got to drive those radios every now and then to make sure the brakes work, or to find, or more importantly, to find out that if the brakes don't work.
Well, I don't know if it work. I was trying to get the starter to kick in, but I guess it finally started up. But anyway, Dennis, I want to check in this fancy radio here. This is the big boy. I want to check in my Citizens Littlephone Helicopters model CB3A, 8-channel transceiver. We are operating on channel E for channel 11, or excellency or efficiency, whichever you would like to call it. And we are running this here with the original handheld carbon microphone.
We've had a few carbon microphones come by tonight, I think. Yours is one of the better ones. And as we know about the carbon microphone, it requires you to not relax. You have to be right up there. You don't have to shout. You just have to be close enough, like a telephone. You know, we have the telephone stuck to your head. That microphone was right in front of your mouth. So typically that's what a carbon microphone wants. The Helicopter CB3A, we've got a picture, and back to you for some audio.
Okay, well, you know, you're talking about like the old Ma Bell phone and everything. I was watching something on TV the other day, and the people had the old dial telephone on the table, and these kids were all looking at it. Well, teenagers, believe it or not, look at this thing. How in the world do you work it? They're trying to push each hole where you stick your finger and dial it. They're trying to push each hole. How do you make it dial? And then you hit each one of those numbers, and they're hitting it. It ain't doing nothing. And then the woman walks over, you take your finger and goes, and they look at her like, that's just too darn long.
Well, it's sort of like texting. It's like texting, you know, with your finger. You're typing the numbers in, the little dial rotates. You know what? There's not enough flashing lights on it. I bet if you could steampunk an old dial phone that when you put your finger in, something would light up, and when you let go of the dial, and each time it went click, 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 and whatever number, little lights would come on, and it would make noise like an Alexa or something, then the new crowd would go for it. But what can I say? Everything old is new again. Back when dial telephones were all the rage, and you could go to Ma Bell or Pacific Bell or General Bell or whatever it was and get that really cool Princess telephone for a premium price. It might have been sitting next to this radio, the Helicopters CB3A, a big one for them, late 1962, 1963, at $159, $160, not a bad deal. You could add for a nominal fee an S meter and a receive VFO that would go into the little rectangular slots on either side of the channel selector. maybe bring the thing up to around $200. Only use 7 tubes. I was amazed that they could get all that audio from just 7 tubes. Very efficient. A schematic available at oldtuberadio.com. Audio available right now from Chris. Go for it.
Absolutely. And you know what? And the kids nowadays, you hang up a regular clock on the wall that has 1 through 12, they do not know how to tell time on that. They only know what it says when it's digital. And Dennis, if you're going to be around for about 3 more minutes, I will try one more.
Yeah, Jingle Singer's still here, counting and mounting. Want to do a little extra time tonight because I spent extra time on the shortwave listener list. And that actually is something that probably should be taught, even if you're not in an analog clock dial. If someone says, put something in a 3 o'clock position or a 6 o'clock position or 9 o'clock position, it might be handy to know what the heck that means. The Old Tube Radio Network, we'll have Radio 10 in just a minute for you, but in the meantime, our jingle singers who don't get paid much. In fact, they don't get paid at all, but they enjoy singing for you.
Let's do some spelling.
OTR. 27.085 megahertz. Channel 11, Old Tube Radio. Old Tube Radio.
37.
Hey, Chris, we made it to double-digit radios tonight, which I didn't think was going to happen, so over to you.
Well, believe it or not, if it was staticky tonight, you probably wouldn't have. But I want to check in my last one here. This here is the Chris 23 Plus, 23 channel transceiver. And this one here, we are running this one here with the original handheld microphone stock that comes with this radio. Over.
And I think we went through a couple of microphones at one point, and that's why the Old Tube Radio Network is here as well. You check in a radio, or you want to check a microphone out, or you want to get the sound that you might be looking for, we are happy to oblige. And our SWLs comment and say, yeah, we like that one. Also, as you know, we archive the audio, so you can go back. If you make a test, you can actually go back and listen to it and decide for yourself which item you like. But we did that prior, and now Chris is all set up with the proper microphonium for the Chris 23 Plus. Back to you.
All right, well, that's all that I have tonight. Everything was stock right out of the box. Well, right out of the back of the radio anyway. And everything that's going into it is stock. It's antique stock that is going into it.
Working just fine. I think everything is antique stock now, considering these radios it was the Old Tube Radio Network 30 years ago, so it's a really Old Tube Radio Network now. Waving a hand and good day to a very good early morning to Big Ben, who is listening in from England. Probably just sun not quite up, I would imagine. The Old Tube Radio Network firing up the valves. We've got the Chris 23 Plus with Chris at the microphone. And this is the plate-modulated Panasonic chassis with the 11 tubes. Operator's manual at oldtuberadio.com. It sounds good, Chris. Thanks for getting us into the double digits.
All right, well, I'm back to solid state right now.
And solid state sounding good. Counting and amounting here, we'll stay on for a couple minutes. Anybody would like to make a comment or get a radio in or an SWL check-in, and then we'll tie things up and see how we did for the counting and amounting tonight. You're listening to the Old Tube Radio Network. And I did hear SWL 47.
I was asking, is it 6 o'clock in the morning in London right now? I thought they were 8 hours ahead of us.
That was me, Big Willie.
Yeah, they are plus 8 hours ahead. And we are on daylight time, so there may be a plus 8 plus 1 or 8 minus 1, something like that. I'm not sure exactly where we're at, but you are correct.
Oh, all right. Well,
Big Willie.
although after
Man, you guys are loud now.
I'm just getting back from Reno, Nevada. It's not that hot in here compared to the freeway out there. But anyways, greetings to you and everyone in London and wherever else that might be listening. Greetings from the Radio Lounge. How about a late check-in for SWL 47?
All right, we'll do a late check-in for SWL 47. Hello, Mike, and welcome back. Imagine you have to be back to do important things on Monday. You're probably already busy doing stuff, but the big important things. And just a reminder, this is the Old Tube Radio Network. We are in Central California, streaming live at oldtuberadio.net. Also, video going on at YouTube for the Old Tube Radio Network. Sounds like a little e-skip coming in. This net, if you will, meets every Saturday on this channel where we talk to and talk with and talk about the classic vintage tube radios, and some very nice audio coming through from the Pacific Northwest stations tonight. Somebody's got a modulator or doing some good audio work, so my hat is off to you. Some nice audio coming through there tonight. Speaking about audio, we are talking to Mike, who is on one of his tube radios, and I think I know which one it is, so give us a transmission.
No, I'm actually kind of glad that you said that because you had mentioned something last...
Thank you, Dennis.
I don't know, knobs or something like that. And I was thinking, I'm going to start this game. I even mentioned that I was going to try and stump you. But I was going to take a picture just of a knob. I was going to get really, really, really close to, any particular radio in this collection here. And just take a picture of the knob and send it to you. And see if you could guess which radio it is. But I didn't do that, but I guess I definitely didn't stump you on this one. It's the Browning R27S23 Series 2. I can't remember exactly what the difference was between the Series 1 and Series 2. I think it might have had something to do with the modulation lamp, but then again, I could be wrong. This one is a pleasure to use. It's got the original banana-style mic that's just delightful. It's got great weight. I like the cord. It's not the little pigtail cords. They don't feel like you're, if you let go of the microphone, it's going to get snapped back up towards the radio. But definitely fun to use. And one of my favorite features is, as always, on this guy, the ginormous on-the-air transmitter lamp to let you know that at least, something's working. I don't know if it guarantees that a signal's getting out, but hey, I press the button on the mic and it lights up, so it's pretty cool.
You gotta love it when you press the button on the mic, it lights up, and you actually get a response from net control. On the Browning Eagle R27S23 station, the original Eagle, the first Eagle, 1964 to 68, the production run between the Series 1 and the Series 2. If you had a little bit over $350, you could buy that configuration from your local electronics store, maybe even from Browning Laboratories, one of their distributors. And the later model, the Series 2, some of the difference were larger meters. The neon modulation indicator, that's probably the big thing. If you got the little orange blinky light there, you know you got a Series 2, and then the other thing is a lighted on-the-air indicator, which is cool, right? You key down and it says on the air. You know you're on the air. I don't know if you hear a big relay clunk, but at least you see the on-the-air light, so there you go. But the bands have been sour all week, and tonight we got some good conditions for our stations in the Pacific Northwest, up in Spokane and elsewhere. Tom and the crew up there are listening in and talking to stations up and down the state. We'll see, and then we're in the bottom of the cycle too. So yeah, you know, Mike, it's like name that tune. I can name that tune in 4 notes. This will be name that radio. I can name that radio in just 2 knobs.
Oh definitely think I need to start doing that. I got to clarify with something that you just said, and I was not aware of it, if indeed this is true. I heard you say, or at least I thought I heard you say that it was only the Series 2 that had this on-the-air lamp on the transmitter. The Series 1 did not have that on there, is that correct?
Harvey would probably know off the top of his head, but from the notes that I'm referring to, a lighted on-the-air indicator. So was there a non-lighted on-the-air indicator? But it mentions that a difference in the 1 to 2 was a lighted on-the-air indicator. So maybe there was some other on-the-air indicator, like I don't know, I would say a light, but that's lighted. But it says on the air. So my guess is if there was something on the Series 1, it may have just been a light and it didn't say on the air, over.
Okay. Or, well, maybe a black hole that every time you started to transmit, a black hole would kind of open up on the transmitter and suck in light so you could kind of see the reverse image of on the air. Actually, I think that 135, I think he had some sort of a special Browning that maybe a Mark II or III that had that kind of reverse stencil on there. I don't know. I have to ask you, before I get out of here, and I don't want to take up too much time, this is, it's an AM-only radio, and I'm wondering, when did they switch to sideband as well? If indeed they even did, I kind of thought that I remember seeing, at least on the Mark IVs, that they were upper and lower sideband. I thought some of the older radios did too. Maybe you can clarify on that?
Well, here's what happened. This radio went through 1966. In 1966 and 67, even though General Radio Telephone had a sideband radio out, but before that wasn't very popular, the Regency Imperial, the Tram Titan II, or the Titan II, I believe, started having double sideband. So sideband started being a thing. So what Browning did is they offered, I think there was a sideband adapter or an adapter unit that went with the Mark II series, which would be, let's see, the Mark I. So after this was the R68, T68, and again, Harvey might know, I don't know if they had a sideband adapter for that, but when the Mark II came out, I believe you could have 5 pieces with that radio by the time you got the sideband adapter and some other items of interest. So sideband wasn't built into the to the Brownings until the Mark IIIs. Basically, they took the Mark II and the sideband adapter and all that, and that's where you had the bigger transmitter. So that is what I believe to be true, and I will be open to any comment saying, wait a minute, no, this is the actual way it happened. But typically they came out with a separate unit that you added to the Mark II, and then when the Mark III came out, you could get a Mark III AM transmitter and a Mark III AM sideband transmitter all built in together without a separate box. Over.
Okay, that's cool. I just go on eBay like I used to and kind of look at those things. It's always fun to look around. And actually, after everything is said and done, maybe after the show, if you want to hear a fun eBay story, I got one for you, if you're still around. So on that, I think I'm going to stop taking up everyone else's time. Thanks for letting me check this in. It's nice to be back in here again after a really grueling ride, especially since it was yesterday that I drove up there. It was quite a few hours on a bike within the past 24 or so. Certainly a joy to come back and be able to play with this wonderful toy and listen to all the fine folks out there checking them in. So thank you and appreciate it. 73.
All right, indeed, 73, the Old Tube Radio Network. We're counting and amounting the jingle singers as they often do, and we're about ready to close it down. Give us this tune.
You're tuned to
OTR, Channel 11,
right here in
Fresno, California.
Stay with us
Old Tube Radio.
and be modern.
Now, you know, Mike, on the first day of school, you got to be nice to those guys. You know, you start them off the first day with at least a C+, somewhere's right in there. Don't make them feel too bad. Make them think they're real smart, which I hope they are.
Hey, Dennis, if you can...
They actually... I'm not going to go into grading philosophy here. Actually...
Yeah, hang on. I'll be right with you.
And you do have to earn it. I'm definitely not pushover. But if you do what you're supposed to, everything's going to be great. You'll get an A. What you do with that as time goes on is completely up to you.
Absolutely. All right, go ahead, Dennis.
All right. Yeah, school is starting. There was a station talking to OTR here that has fantastic audio. If you're still in the skip zone, come on back.
In and out on me, but I'm up here in Spokane, Washington, just a little bit north of Spokane.
Okay. Is that Tom?
It is. It's Zookeeper, Tom in Spokane.
All right, Tom. I hope you're audio gating the playback audio because it's sounding really good. Conditions aren't that great. I wish I had a beam pointed your way, but full fidelity audio, and we do a direct inject output into the sound card. So what you hear is what you get. The Old Tube Radio Network here on Saturdays from 8 to 10 p.m., and we're about ready to wrap it up. So maybe we'll still have some conditions up and down the state. Thanks for waving a hand tonight.
You too, man. Take care down there. I'm back quiet.
All right. Yeah, we should have an Old Tube audio night. And having fun that way. We often find out, we do a lot of microphone checking, but some of the Old Tube radios, because they don't have the compressors and limiters and were manufactured before the FCC started mandating that you put clipping and things to keep overmodulation over, you can really do some great audio with the tube radios. All right. Any other station would like to get checked in before we count an amount and clear the frequency here on the Old Tube Radio Network?
One question. Where was he at?
See you down there, Dennis. 709.
And 709. Tom was up there in Spokane. Seems to we have a pipeline into the Spokane area tonight. And I didn't see Timtron, who is in that area. I'm looking for comments on the video page. Good night, Joy. Great turnout tonight as well as the radios. Let's read the radios. I'll get out of here, clear frequency. Maybe we can have some stations would like to do some DX. So let me clear out.
Ladies and gentlemen, time now for the current OTR totals.
The current and final totals of the Old Tube Radio Network. Thanks to the fanfare. We had 9 check-ins on page 1, 13 on page 2, 10 on page 3, and 18 check-ins on page 4 for a total of 54 SWLs tonight. On a great summer evening, school getting ready to start here in Central California. So everybody's out buying pencils or whatever we do. And then in the radios tonight, we had a total of 11. And I am checking. I think we had a tie between the Brownings and the General Radio Telephones for the most heard manufacturer. But here we go. Radio 1, the Browning Golden Eagle Mark III SSB. That was from Paul tonight. And Paul, that radio just sounded excellent. You got some unsolicited comments on your audio from some of our shortwave listeners tonight. So don't touch a thing on that one. Just really, really nice. You've got it dialed to perfection. The E.F. Johnson Messenger 223 from Louis. Thanks, Louis, for running into the radio room and checking in and giving us the E.F. Johnson. Always enjoy it. Radio number 3 tonight, the General Radio Telephone BB10, a rare one indeed, and an early business band radio with some good audio and a really, really nice signal thanks to that business band. And as the ad says, you are permitted to run your 180-foot antenna because you are a business band radio. None of that 60, 20-foot stuff. General Radio Telephone Super MC11A followed that one up. Radio 4 from Chris, always a loud talker there. The car TR326KAAR, the 326 from Paul. 1962 on that one. Chris on the Gem Marine Products G Powermate for Radio 6. He followed that up with his Courier Royale with the D104 mic for Radio 7. Phil, jumping into the radio room, giving us a little bit of time and creating a spot for the Lafayette Comstat 25B with the nice loud audio, a great radio. The Hallicrafters CB3A. You can always score points with the net controller when you check in a Hallicrafter radio of any kind. Thanks, Chris. Radio 9, Radio 10 on the Chris 23 Plus. Chris once again, and then Mike with his Browning S23 R27 Eagle. Normally we end with a Browning radio. It's the R68 T68 from Harvey, so I'm sure Harvey's listening somewhere. He will be pleased that we used the radio that came the model year before the R68 T68, so we almost got that one. Good night to our video people. Where are you? You're right there. Oscar Bravo, OBP, SWL2, checking us out on the video side. Thanks, Kevin, one of the founding people for the old Tube Radio Network that gave us 9 pounds, good modulation from Chestnut and Herndon back in the day. Was it 1985, 1984, and long before that? Good night to all of you. And if I check the other screen here just to make sure that I'm not missing anybody or any comments, our Washington stations near Deer Park, Chattaroy, up there in Idaho, listening in as well, trying to catch us on the skip zone. It was coming through tonight quite nicely. Thanks, Tom. Really, really great audio. Listen to the, we archive under the archive list on oldtuberadio.net. What you do is you go to the Tube Radio check-ins for this date and use your media player and go close to the end, and you will hear some of that cool, I want to call it almost motor mouth mall modulated audio, but you may be doing something else, but you got some full fidelity going on there on my radio. Thanks, everybody, for listening in. Thanks to SearchLawrence.com and Frodex, keeping the Nixie tubes running. And thanks to all of you for keeping us going for 34 years on the old Tube Radio Network. We will be standing by, and we'll catch you next week.
Good night. Good night. Thanks a bunch, Dennis. Another good job.
Every single time he does the great work. He's like the Wizard of Oz. He just keeps us all going and guessing who's going to be next. Thank you, Dennis.
Been listening to
I'll catch you next time on the old Tube Radio Network. I never have a theme song going out, so maybe this is it. I think I'm only allowed about 29 seconds. Actually, that sounds like live music. So if it's live music, we might not have a copyright issue. Good night, everybody, on the old Tube Radio Network.